You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1927. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired on Tuesday, the 1st of March of 1927.
Hints on making children's clothes, remodeling kitchens, and serving afternoon tea comprise Aunt Sammy's chat. Information approved by the United States Bureau of Home Economics. Those who do not have a copy of the radio cookbook may secure one by writing to Aunt Sammy in care of this station. The radio cookbooks, which contain all the recipes and menus broadcast by Aunt Sammy, are sent free to radio friends of this station.
It's been a long time since I've told you about our neighborhood sewing club. The truth is, I've been too busy planning radio programs to attend the meetings till last week. Since it was my turn to entertain the club, I couldn't beg off with the old excuse of too much work. Last week, the women prepared a surprise shower for a certain member of our group. Making fine tucks by hand and working tiny buttonholes can be an engrossing task when enlivened by sprightly conversation, and you know that a group of old friends can't get together without engaging in sprightly conversation. Sometimes it's almost too sprightly. Mrs. Jane, who is an excellent housekeeper, takes great pride in her sewing. I wish you could see how neatly she finishes seams and how even and dainty her feather stitching is. All of us praised her exquisite needlework. I'm not always so painstaking, explained Mrs. Jane. Yesterday I made 2 dresses for Betty Lou, and I didn't finish a single seam by hand. I made the dresses bloomer style and finished the seams with a pinking machine. You'd be surprised how much time I saved, and the dresses are just as neat and serviceable as if the seams had been trimmed and stitched on the wrong side. Seems to me, said Mrs. Smith, that children's clothes are prettier and simpler every year. In the summertime, my youngsters wear bloomer dresses too. The bloomers take the place of 2 garments children used to wear petticoats and panties. Since learning about the value of sunshine, I have decided to dress the youngsters this summer so that they may get the full benefit of the sunshine. Short sleeves or no sleeves, low necks, and half hose or no hose for the warm weather. The beneficial effect of sunlight is not obtained unless the rays reach the child's skin directly, and too much clothing keeps out the ultraviolet rays which help prevent the disease known as rickets. I want no rickets in my family, concluded Mrs. Smith so forcefully that a spool of thread, white, number 80, hopped out her apron pocket. Your idea is commendable, said Mrs. Jane. Let your children have all the sunshine they can get, direct sunshine. But speaking of bloomers for children, how do you fasten the bloomers? The correct way, said Mrs. Smith triumphantly. I do not use elastic around the waist. It might be injurious. Elastic must be rather tight to keep bloomers in position, and this is not good for children. I button the bloomers to under waists, which hang from the shoulders. I make the shoulder straps at least 2 inches wide, fitting rather closely to the neck, so they won't slip off the shoulders. That's right, said Mrs. Jane. I favor loose leg bands, too, instead of elastic in the bloomer legs. I read the other day that tight garters and elastic bands retard the flow of blood, and this may produce serious difficulties later in life. Another thing I've learned, by experience: make children's bloomers with plenty of room between the waistline and the crotch, and wide between the legs. This ensures freedom and avoids tearing out at the crotch. If the bloomers are too long, between the waist and the crotch, insert a tuck. At the rate children grow, the tuck can be taken out after a while. Pardon me for interrupting, said Mary Alice, but unless we change the subject, I'll never get a chance to talk. And I want to describe my new kitchen shelf over the work table. I've read so much lately about the number of miles we women travel in a day, doing our housework, that I was worried. You know I'm not so practical as Mrs. Jane. When I prepare a meal, I usually spend 5 or 10 minutes hunting for a measuring cup, or a can opener, or a potato masher. By the time I found the potato masher, the potatoes may be soggy and lukewarm, but I have turned over a new leaf. I entered my old-fashioned kitchen the other day and scrutinized it with cold and critical eye. The sink was in one corner, the work table in another. How absolutely unkind, I thought to myself, to keep two friends with so much in common, so far removed from one another. Straightway, I moved the work table over by the sink, on the right side of it. I found that my greatest need was a shelf above the work table, where I could group small equipment. Up in the attic, I discovered an old-fashioned shelf, one that I used for highly decorated plates cups when I was newly married. I hung the shelf over the work table. On the shelf, I placed a flour shaker, measuring cup, box of recipes, and a pair of scales. Under the shelf, on a row of hooks, I hung my can opener, potato masher, pancake turner, scissors, strainer, egg beater, cooking spoon, paring knife, and a long-handled fork. My husband was so proud of my resourcefulness that he bought me a wire dish drainer. Then, being inspired anew, I had him put a 4-inch shelf above the sink so I wouldn't have to wander around the kitchen hunting for a dish mop. On the shelf, above the sink, I keep cleaning materials. Under the shelf, on small hooks, I hang my dish mop, plate scraper, and various cleaning brushes. No more kitchen marathons for me. Efficiency. Thy name is Mary Alice. Is it not so, Aunt Sammy? You're all right, I said, as far as you go. You showed good judgment in grouping dishwashing utensils around the sink, and utensils for preparing food around your work table. Go on with the good work. Plan a cooking center. That is, group your frying pans, pan covers, salt and pepper, and so forth near the stove. Plan a serving center with table china, glassware, silver, electric toaster, and so forth. I'll get you a booklet on convenient kitchens, which illustrates well-planned kitchens and working centers. I want one too, said Mrs. Jane. I read an article recently about a group of women who were interested in making over their kitchens. They drew a floor plan of an ordinary kitchen on paper. Then one member was asked to track her usual route in preparing mashed potatoes. With string and thumbtacks, she started, leaving a trail of string on the paper floor plan. She went from the kitchen to the cellar for the potatoes, from the cellar to the sink, then to the pantry for the cooking kettle, then back to the pantry for the lid, then back again for the salt, then to the range, then to the icebox for milk and butter, and again to the pantry for the potato masher. Too many wasted steps, said the women, and they moved equipment on the floor plan. After the changes were made, a second woman took a piece of string and traced her way, preparing mashed potatoes. The differences in the length of the string told the tale. I'd need 2 balls of string and a box of thumbtacks, said Mary Alice, to trace my way around my kitchen, preparing 3 meals a day. What's the name of that bulletin you mentioned, Aunt Sammy? I want to write it down. I told her the name of the bulletin, which is Convenient Kitchens, and them Mary Alice helped me serve refreshments. Would you like to know what I served for tea? Nothing unusual. Sandwiches, cookies, and tea with sliced lemon. I served 2 kinds of sandwiches, lettuce and pimento cheese. For the lettuce sandwiches, I put fresh, crisp lettuce leaves between slices of buttered graham bread, cut in long strips for variety. The pimento cheese sandwiches I made by combining cream cheese, canned pimentos, and enough mayonnaise to spread nicely. I spread the filling on thin buttered slices of white bread. I made thin crisp cookies and cut the dough with a cookie cutter. With a thimble, in half of the cookies, I cut 3 holes arranged like a clover leaf. Then, when they were all baked, I spread the plain cookies with jelly or marmalade and laid the cut-out cookies on the spread ones. The jelly and marmalade showed through the holes and made very attractive cookies. With the tea, I served lemon. The lemon was sliced fairly thick. Each slice was cut in half, and into each piece of lemon I stuck a clove. This was the first time since Christmas that I had found an opportunity to use my new lemon plate and the silver lemon fork. Shall I repeat the tea menu? Lettuce sandwiches, pimento cheese sandwiches, cloverleaf cookies, and tea with lemon. By the way, if you want the kitchen bulletin I mentioned, please write to me. This bulletin was so popular that the first supply was exhausted 2 weeks ago, but a new supply has been printed. Convenient Kitchens is the name, and 1513F is the number. The bulletin is free.
This broadcast was researched and produced by BreakAway Empire LLC.